On tonight's episode of the Mike Pressler Show, we break down the Bulldogs' big win over Vermont. We sit down with the Bryant Athletic Director, Bill Smith, and we take a look at this upcoming weekend's game against the Drexel Dragons. It's all next on the Mike Pressler Show here on Cox Sports Television. And welcome back to Blackie's Bulldog Tavern here in Smithfield, Rhode Island, the home of the Mike Pressler Show. I'm Mike Mancuso, joined as always by head coach Mike Pressler of the Bryant Bulldogs men's lacrosse team. And coach, huge win for you guys at home. But before we get into that, some great news. Just got word that you guys swept all of the NEC honors for the week. Offensive Player of the Week, Colin Dunster. Defensive Player of the Week, Jamison Love. And the Rookie of the Week, in Kevin Massa. How great is that for your team?
Congratulations to those guys. Great notoriety for us on a very positive display against Vermont, and proud of Colin, proud of Jamison, and certainly Kevin Massa, his second, I think, of this young season.
Absolutely. So you just had your second home game and your second win of the season. It was a very vocal crowd. Seemed to be a little bit brisk out there on Saturday afternoon. But what were your thoughts on playing at home, and what did you think of your team's ability to bounce back after that tough double overtime loss the week before?
Well, I think that was the key for us. We did bounce back, and I was proud of our team in our start. We jumped all over them 3-0. I was very proud of our response at halftime. So overall, you know, any win's a positive one, a great win, and we'll certainly we're sitting excited about our performance overall Saturday.
So the final score wound up being 15-8. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from last weekend's game.
And a couple of the goals coming up here, and little transition play with Max Wiesenberg and Cody Isdaner, our lefty there.
And that was the first goal of the game. It came at 11:47 of the first quarter.
So important we got off to a good start against this team. Made him play from behind. A great inside look from Peter McMahon to Dan Sipperly. Those two guys have been a terrific 1-2 punch from the attack for us all season.
Made it a 2-0 game in favor of your Bulldogs.
Running a little sub play here with Mason Poley. We're trying to pick in the sub game. Colin Dunster gets a step on his guy. He's so athletic, especially to his right hand, and that's exactly what we wanted to be. 3-0 in the first half of the first quarter.
That was a great start to the afternoon.
Very good.
You know, Jamison Love, routine save, and there's Mason Poley doing his thing down the middle of the field. You know, what an explosive offensive defenseman. I believe Mason has 4 goals with his long pole this year, and such a weapon for us.
Once he gets going, he's so hard to stop. That made it a 5-3 Bulldog lead at the time.
This is Max Wiesenberg going to his offhand on the run. Terrific play. You know, low and away to the off-stick side. Great shot from Max again to his offhand, which is tough to do.
And that made it a 6-4 game for the Bulldogs, and that's actually the score it wound up being at the half.
A little extra man play there in the third quarter. Colin Dunster hits the pipe, and Peter McMahon very alert on the rebound. Huge goal, make it 7-4 to begin the third.
McMahon would finish with 2 goals on the afternoon to go along with 2 assists as well.
Great one more from Colin Dunster. Throw it over the top, and Alex Sommerfeld yells one more pass, and you know, great play by those two guys.
When he took the hit there, it wound up being a penalty, put you guys on the man up for the next minute. Dan
Sipperly with a little question mark move, we call it. Drive left, kind of turn back to his right hand. You know, all in that third quarter, which proved to be decisive for us. Colin Dunster doing his thing. He's so athletic, you know, in space. And scores and draws a foul.
Yeah, just able to beat a couple of defenders once again. That made it 13-7 on what was a heck of a day for Colin Dunster. And now, it wound up being your biggest offensive output of the day. 15 goals. You had 8 different goal scorers. Dunster led the way, 4 goals and assists. McMahon had 2 goals, 2 assists. What were your general thoughts on your team's performance offensively for that game?
I think, you know, look at the stats. The first midfield was 8-2, which was terrific. Great balance once again. I think we scored in a variety of different ways. We scored the sub game. We scored off the face-off. We scored in transition from D to O. certainly extra man and the settle games. So a lot of different people and scored in a lot of different ways.
And we talked about Jamison Love a little bit before. He earned Defensive Player of the Week, mostly in part 17 saves on 25 shots faced. Seemed to have maybe a little bit of trouble with some bounce shots, but do you see that as any kind of issue moving forward?
Well, I thought 17 saves was great, Jay, and for Jay, and we were pleased about that. But he shouldn't have had to save as many as he did. I still think we can improve defensively. Some of those balls should not have been shot. We should have done a better job defensively, kind of curtailing that, and that's something we got to work on.
And now you were 6-4 ahead at the half, but you really blew the doors open in the third quarter, outscoring Vermont 6-1. And you led 12-5 after that, heading into the fourth quarter. But overall for the game, how close do you feel your team was to playing a complete 60-minute game?
I would say we played for a solid across for about 3.5 quarters overall, close. But again, I think that the key for us was our response at halftime.
Right.
Challenge the guys, went after the guys emotionally, verbally, and they responded. And a 6-4 game, goes to 12-5. And the credit goes to the guys.
Yeah, there was pretty much no doubt after that for the remainder of the game. Now, the past few weeks, you've talked a lot about wanting the second midfield unit to step up. How do you feel that they performed in this game against Vermont?
First two shifts, we scored with the second line guys out there. Kyle Crowley got his first goal of the year. Bo Redpath, a sophomore, and Bryant Schlenkster, one of our outstanding left-handed freshmen. So overall, very, very pleased with the response and the play from the second midfield. Not only on offense, but defensively as well.
Yeah. Now, did you see any of that developing over the course of the week in practice, or was it something that you think they just brought their game for game time?
Well, that was something we just said on Monday of last week. I wrote on the board before the game.
Yeah.
The second midfield must respond, and from my point of view, couldn't have been more pleased.
Yeah. And now, defensively, your team held Vermont's top sniper, Drew Philly, to just 1 goal and no assist for the afternoon. How happy were you with the defense's performance?
Well, there's Jeff Worley, number 7, Drew Philly, number 17. They're a great 1-2 punch. They had 3 goals on the day. And they got a couple quality shots, but again, Jamison made some saves, and I thought Glenn Mayrano, Matt McGrady, and Connor Dent once again rose to the occasion from our close defense.
Yeah. And now, you won 15-8, had a great overall game. How would you rate this performance on a letter scale like we usually do week to week?
That was a solid, B effort. Better than average, more consistent. Really excited to play once again, and that's one thing I've been proud of our team. 4 games in a row now, we've had great starts. We've come out of the locker room ready to go, which is crucial in our sport, and forcing teams to kind of play from behind a little bit. That's been the case in certainly 3 of the 4 games, and had to be the case in the Vermont game in particular.
Right, so it's so important to get that second win of the season. Now, you're 1/4 of the way through the season, and what do you feel has been the biggest surprise for you, for your team?
The overall play of our close defense. 3 new starters, a junior, sophomore, and a freshman, as I mentioned, Dent, McGrady, and Glenn Mayrano. Their consistency in the first 4 games has been terrific and in a lot of ways kind of remarkable.
Yep.
I was not counting on that, and we've coached the heck out of them, and they've played very well and very consistent for 4 straight games.
Yeah. And now, what do you feel would be the biggest disappointment 4 games into this season?
I don't think there's any really major disappointments other than I just think we just got to increase our shooting percentage.
Yeah.
We got to get up there in that 30% range overall as a team, and that starts with our attack because they get the closest to the goal. And Peter McMahon, Dan Sipley, Travis Harrington, Cody Isdaner, that percentage has got to increase for us if we're going to produce offensively.
Yeah. Well, that takes us to the end of this segment, Coach. We'll be back with Coach Pressler a little bit later on, but next we'll be speaking with the Bryant Athletic Director, Bill Smith. It's all coming up next here on the Mike Pressler Show here on Cox Sports Television.